Stories. We all love stories. We all love good stories. Stories they have a way of pulling us in and drawing us into that amazing storyline. Stories, they have a way of captivating our hearts and our minds and our imaginations. And I believe that our Creator, our good and loving Creator, has created each and every one of us, hardwired each and every one of us, to be drawn into these stories, to be captivated by these stories, to enjoy them, to relate to them. Question is this: whose stories are we listening to? What kind of stories are we drawn to? What kind of stories captivate our hearts and our minds and our imaginations? What kind of stories do we tell others? We live in the 21st century. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter is the big thing. And we might not put it that way, but we all tell our stories through these platforms. For example, photos that you post, comments that you make, likes, the shares, who we follow, what we follow, they all tell us, and others, our stories. This Christmas, what stories will we listen to? This Christmas, whose story will you listen to? Big companies like John Lewis or McDonald's or Amazon, they're all out there with their new Christmas adverts. Buy this food and you will have an amazing Christmas. Buy this product and you will have the best Christmas present. An Instagram-worthy Christmas. That's what they're telling us. That's what they're doing with these adverts. They're telling us their stories to pull us in, to lure us in, to draw us in. Why are these stories, why are these adverts so well made and so popular? Well, because they are made really well. Simple as that. They have amazing cinematography, but also they hire, the big companies like Amazon or John Lewis hire psychologists to work out the human mind. What kind of adverts, what kind of stories can we tell that will draw people in and make them buy our stuff? Long time ago, a really long time ago, someone said, our hearts are restless until they find their rest in you. Again, our Creator, our amazing Creator, have created us, all of us, with this big gap in our hearts. We have been created with a longing for something that is satisfying, that is permanent. And the reason I believe we listen to these stories or to these adverts, because we think that buying this food or this particular product from the supermarket will make or will fill that void in our hearts, but it doesn't. The more we listen to these stories, the more we think that will satisfy, but they don't. They leave us hungry, wanting more, temporary. And maybe this Christmas it's time to listen to a different story, a better story, the story of Jesus Christ, a story that might change your life. In the Bible, we read about Jesus' birth, prophecies and promises that a king is coming to rescue his people, prophecies and promises about his birth. And where would you expect a king to be born? I take it in the royal palace or in the amazing parts of the city. But no, this king was born in Bethlehem. Bethlehem is an obscure backwater village that nobody knows about. This king would be born in Bethlehem, not an impressive place. It's not somewhere you would go for holidays. He was born to an ordinary parents, Mary and Joseph. Joseph, we're told, was an ordinary carpenter. He wasn't even born in a home. Forget the hospital or a palace. He was born in a stable, in a manger with the smelly animals in the backwaters of Bethlehem. Not particularly impressive. Not particularly impressive at all. It's not an Instagram-worthy birth at all. And all the prophecies and promises about his birth came true. Jesus was born in Bethlehem to very ordinary parents in a manger. The king in a manger. Yet this king is no ordinary king. He wasn't just a human king. He was also a divine king. A king who is beyond time and space. A king who is without beginning or an end. A king who created everything. And yet this powerful king decides to become a baby. He decides to join the human race, to become one of us, to join us in our mess. Yes, he does, and he did. This is why this king came, this king in a manger. He came to tell us, to share with us his story, a better story, a story that surpasses all other stories. He came to tell us a story about rest that only he can give, only he can provide. He came to fill that void in our hearts, that longing in our hearts, only that he can fulfill. We try and fill this void, this emptiness with stuff. But only Jesus can fill, only this king in a manger can fill that gap, that longing in our hearts. He came to give us joy, peace, his life. He came to share his story. He came to share his life with us. So here's the question. What story will we listen to this Christmas? Whose story will you listen to this Christmas? This King Jesus, who was born in a manger, came to tell us a better story. That your story is part of his story. His story exists because of your story. And this Jesus offers you life. This Jesus offers you a new beginning. So this Christmas, will you listen to the story of